October the 15th, 1987, Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, 4:30 in the afternoon. Inside a low white building called the Conseil de l'Entente, Africa's youngest president sits down with 6 advisors for a routine meeting. He is 37 years old. He wears a red tracksuit because after this meeting he plans to exercise. Outside, a car pulls up, then another. Men in uniform step out, men he knows by name, and then gunfire. His driver falls, 2 bodyguards fall. The advisors freeze, and Thomas Sankara, the man they call Africa's Che Guevara, says one final sentence to the men in that room.
Stay inside, it's me they want.
He walks out of the door, hands raised. Seconds later, he is dead, hit by more than a dozen bullets. Within minutes, 12 of the men around him are dead too. There is exactly one survivor, and by nightfall, the radio announces a new president, Blaise Compaoré, Sankara's closest friend. To understand how a man's best friend came to bury him in a shallow grave at the edge of the city, you have to go back 4 years. August the 4th, 1983. A 33-year-old army captain seizes power in one of the poorest countries on earth, a landlocked, drought-scarred colony the French had named Upper Volta. He is unlike any head of state the world has seen. He rides a bicycle to work, he plays guitar in a jazz band, and within a year he throws away the colonial name itself. The country will now be called Burkina Faso, the land of upright men. Then the revolution starts moving at a speed no one believed possible. In 15 days, his health brigades vaccinate 2.5 million children. Measles, meningitis, yellow fever, and infant deaths begin to collapse. 10 million trees go into the ground to hold back the Sahara. He outlaws forced marriage. He bans female genital cutting. He puts women in his cabinet and declares that the revolution cannot triumph without them. And then he turns on privilege itself. The government's fleet of Mercedes limousines? Sold. The official car of ministers becomes the cheapest car in the country, the little Renault 5. He cuts his own salary to $450 a month. His most valuable possessions, he says, are a guitar, a refrigerator, and 3 bicycles. But it is money, other people's money, that makes him truly dangerous. July 1987. Addis Ababa. In front of every African head of state, Sankara stands up and attacks the foreign debt itself. He calls it what no one else will, a cleverly managed reconquest of Africa, colonialism, returning through the back door with an interest rate. He tells the summit that if Burkina Faso refuses to pay a loan, he will not be at the next meeting. The whole laughs. He does not. Because by the summer of 1987, Thomas Sankara is running out of friends. Paris finds him insufferable. The old guard in neighboring Ivory Coast wants him gone. At home, the elites he stripped of their privileges are waiting. And inside his own revolution, a rift is opening between Sankara and the man who has stood beside him since their days in the barracks. Blaise Compaoré, the brother, the quiet one, the one everyone trusts. The warnings come all through that October. Plots, lists, names. His security chief begs him to act against Compaoré's faction. Sankara refuses. If the revolution needs him to kill his brother, he says, then the revolution has already failed. A week before the end, sitting with journalists, he says the sentence that will outlive everyone in this story.
While revolutionaries as individuals can be murdered, you cannot kill ideas.
8 days later, the cars pull up outside the Conseil de l'Entente. You already know what happens at 4:30. The meeting, the gunfire, the doorway. What you don't know is what happens after. The 13 bodies are driven across town in the dark and buried in hastily dug graves at Dagnoan Cemetery. The death certificate, signed that same week, says the president died of natural causes. 13 men, natural causes. Blaise Compaoré calls it a rectification of the revolution. The Mercedes come back. The debt payments resume. The friend rules Burkina Faso for 27 years. But ideas, it turns out, keep their own schedule. In 2014, when Compaoré tries to change the constitution to rule even longer, a new generation floods the streets of Ouagadougou, chanting Sankara's name, and the man who ruled for nearly 3 decades flees the country in a single day. In 2015, forensic teams finally opened the grave at Dagnoan. The body said to have died of natural causes is riddled with bullets. And in April 2022, a court in Ouagadougou hands down its verdict on the man who took his place, guilty of complicity in the murder of Thomas Sankara, life in prison. Thomas Sankara was president for 4 years, and he has now been dead for far longer than he ruled. Yet his face is painted on walls from Dakar to Nairobi, and his statue stands in bronze on the very ground where he fell. They killed the man in 9 seconds. The idea is still upright, in the land of upright men. This was the story of Thomas Sankara, told the Sankofa way. Go back and get it. If it moved you, tell us in the comments whose story we should tell next. Until then, stay upright.